And next, we are going to compositing in Photoshop in order to finish our concept painting, which is I'm going to save our file into multi-layer EXR and maybe just close our Blender file at first. And yeah, as you can see, the add-on is called EXRIO, and when I open it, I didn't select any selection. I just opened it, and as I previously talked about, I render my image into two separate files, and one of it is just with the water and transparent effect, another is none, and the overall is because I wanted to have this clean, much cleaner the mispass. As you can see, the with alpha, it's going to be some weird noisy, and I'm just combining these two picture together, and I guess I was just using lighten to blending mode to blending these two image. It could be something else, I guess, but right now I'm just using this, a lot faster and a lot easier. And yeah, I feel like right now actually we get pretty interesting result. And I wanted to creating this adjustment layer. I kind of forget what it is, adjustment layer. Well, anyway, you can see what I'm doing. You can do the same thing in the Photoshop, which is I going to remove the hue and saturation. Well, basically, I remove when I remove the saturation, the hue is going to be also disappear, right? So that's something I'm going to do to just focus on value because I feel like it will be very overwhelming if we have too much information. So right now is I just want to focus on the value and see the and try to organize my outer shape and form better. And now we can always flip the canvas. And yeah, I can see there's a bit of problem, which is I feel like the left side of our canvas is a bit weird. So I adding another water effect on my environment I wanted to adding something, but later on actually I'm adding entirely another colon in the foreground to block the composition. But right now I didn't I didn't notice yet. Right now I just feel like something weird on the left. And we can using mispass to generating the mask by go open our mispass and right click RGB channel, and we can get the area of this mispass, and we're going to using this mispass to generating a mask to helping us to creating the effect, which is I want our water to only showcase uh, only going to showing in the background. And right now I'm going to show you yeah, this red color is the how you can see how mask influence our layer. I know it's a bit abstract and for sure it is a very kind of difficult to understanding the idea kind of difficult to understanding by just verbally you heard me thinking you heard me talking, but I would highly recommend that you can doing what I'm doing in the Photoshop. It's really something that just very difficult to understanding by talking or just by watching it. And for me, it's too. When I say it, I was like, man, what I'm saying. And now I'm just doing a adjustment layer with the curvature tool to tweaking the value. I want to grouping this our image, darken the darker, lighten the lighten. And yeah, right now we actually is pretty interesting image, but of course I changing the blending mode into luminosity because I want my curve only influence the value, not to influence the hue and saturation. And yeah, and now I really want my foreground to be just can organize into a very dark color, which is exactly like this mispath. As you can see, we got a very beautiful separation. Foreground is pretty dark, midground is gray, and background is entirely, just getting lighter and lighter. So I wanted to creating this kind of value grouping and using and then because this value grouping is very important. One of the reason for our scene, right now this lighting or the light on the trees is kind of creating increasing the feeling of shape and form, which is not a bad thing, but I want it to be flattened, to be a less catchy for the eye. Of course, we can do a lot of approach, but I feel like I just want it to be dark, and the saturation could be less high. It just to be a subtle element to suggesting the composition and not to taking people's attention to it. So yeah, this is actually back to our checklist series. So how to remove thing, how to make thing less eye catch. Right? We can just remove the color, remove the contrast of the value, remove the hue and saturation. Right? If you do this, you are making this shape, this three-dimensional form more like a just 2D shape, and make it more settled and just less eye catchy. Becoming a kind of a symbol on the on our friend on our composition. Just make it to be a blocker for the composition, and this is really what I'm trying to do. Just leave it to be some kind of shape to framing our composition. Oh, and saving our file is very important. I kind of make a bad room bad thing here, like saving file this late. And I'm using ambient occlusion to adding another level of detail, which is kind of like darken the darker area, which is kind of like a makeup. You see, when we make up, if you, for example, if you maybe not everybody do it, but if you try to cosplay like a JoJo Brazil adventure character, you wanted to make the shadow on your nose looks more stronger, right? So when you're increasing when you're using dark AO ambient occlusion to darken to multiply on your image, you're going to make the three-dimensional feeling more stronger by increasing the shadow. But of course, right now I wanted to increasing the contrast of this ambient occlusion. Yeah, there's a weird edge here and there, which is yeah, I just this is the kind of problem that when you're using PNG using the 2D element to creating your environment. But I would try to fix those problems later. Or sometimes we can when I compress image, this problem will automatically gone. Pretty awesome. And yeah, right now I tried to separating our background and the well, not just background, but I would say sky, the really the back side of the background. Right now the mispaths kind of didn't give me a really good separation. I kind of need to do it manually. So yeah, right now I'm kind of grouping the value, and I think I'm doing okay. And but of course, most now we're finally getting to the real fun part, which is grouping our value by mispaths, which is we're going to just try to duplicate what this mispaths generating, this outcome, which is the beautiful gradient between very dark foreground, gray midground, and the light background. That's exactly what I'm trying to do right now. Which is I using mispaths and I using lighten blending mode, and I tweaked opacity into 50 to creating the kind of feeling of fog, which is atmosphere perspective. And I'm using color adjustment layer to bring a little bit of color to our mispaths, and I'm going to changing the blending mode into color. Man, it's so complicated, right? Uh, yes. Okay, now I tried to maybe bring back light here and there and tweaking the layer. You can see the separation. sometimes higher, sometimes lower. I try to finding the best way, which is this is really a one of the visual development process. It could be changing according to what we started getting more understanding about this picture. And now I tried to creating I using mispath to generating a mask to influence our foreground, and I using this mask on curve tool so we can darken our foreground. And yeah, basically still just try to follow the mist path giving us the very dark foreground. And now I try to using normal path to bring back some of the very nice ambient skylight. So as you can see, skylight is from the well, it's from the sky. So we want to choosing the any surface the facing the upper, which is well the color is blue. So we go to color channel, we right click blue, and we can get a area of the facing the top. And now we're using this area to generating a mask for a group. And we going to as you can see, when this mask can helping us to bring back some of the well, I haven't done it. I just wanted to make sure this is the area I wanted to bring back. And I using a curve tool. Yeah, as you can see, we bring back some of the lighting. So you may feel it's a bit silly, like why the F why I darken the scene, then now I make it lighten. Well, because well, just like I'm saying, it's visual development process, right? But actually, there's a good reason of it, which is we we would notice we want to bring back some of the lighting later on for sure, because we may feel like in the foreground it's just too dark. And of course, the skylight wouldn't go into the ambient occlusion side, so we're using ambient occlusion to generate another mask for our group. So as you can see, with ambient occlusion, and we have a much more natural skyline. And I want to remove some of the really foreground part of our scene to make it really just darker. And I using color adjustment layer to tweak the value. Sorry, not value, saturation and the hue. Because it's skylight, so I feel like it should be had the hue and saturation, which is the sky giving us, which is the blue. Simply speaking, it's just blue. Make it bluer, make it lighter. Man, it's just it's pretty complicated. Sorry. Yeah, I wanted this effect just only influence our foreground, because previously we darkened our foreground too much. Now I want to bring back. It's like I make it's kind of like yeah, I make some mistake, and I lost something, and now I feel regretted and want it back. It's just a very a very well, it's a process. It's very hard to predict the process. Well, it's hard to predict mostly because I'm just I lack of enough experience. If you have a lot of experience, you can totally do it without doing too much back and forth. But to me, this is also how I learning. Just making a lot of mistake, and just try things. With 3D, with this Photoshop, we got a really good tool to making so many mistakes in very short amount of time. And I really encourage you to do it. Just let me make mistake, and learn from it. And now I want to tweaking some light from the side. I feel maybe, but I decide to just later on I decide just well maybe not. And yeah, this is first step of our composition. And I'm going to see you next chapter.